Tulips are popping. Spring is here. Hey everybody, welcome back to Garage Gear. I'm JB, and today is an exciting day. Why? Because we're talking all about the lawn. It marks the beginning of our lawn care season. Stage one, here we go. First thing that we have to do is get a soil test done. So let's talk about soil tests. And why do we do them? Well, think about doctors for a second. If you're sick, a doctor may ask to have you get blood work done. That blood work is going to tell them some things to help get you healthier. What about an auto mechanic? Well, an auto mechanic is going to hook up a scan tool to your car's computer, and that's going to analyze the codes and tell you what's wrong with the car. Your lawn kind of acts in the same way with a soil test. It's going to tell us what it's deficient in and what we maybe have too much of, and how we can help it out to get it as green as possible. All in all, it's going to be a useful tool to help us maintain our lawn throughout the rest of the season. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 3 points, 3, on this lawn to mark off and dig up some dirt for our soil test. I'm then going to take all of those soil samples, put them together in one container, and we're going to ship it out to a lab, get some results back, and see what our results could be. Now, some skeptics may say, why are you taking samples from 3 different spots? Well, soil samples can vary from spot to spot. By taking a combination of 3 spots and putting them all together in the same sample, that'll actually provide me with a good overall picture of how the lawn is doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been using these Soilsavvy soil test kits for about the last 4 years now, and they have given me some good results. Let's take a peek inside, shall we? So, for about $28 with this soil test kit, you get a self-addressed stamped envelope, company known as Unibest. So we're gonna set that aside. You get your container, you get a scoop, and this is exactly what you need. So we're gonna take our sample here, we're gonna top it right off, and that is gonna get poured directly into this. We're gonna seal it up and ship it out. We also get our laboratory submission card. You get a customer copy and the actual lab card. This card will go to them. So we're gonna fill out all our information, we're gonna mark it down as lawn and turf, and we're gonna put it in the envelope with this once we get our sample together. So what we're gonna need for this is some gloves and a shovel, and then we're gonna use this pan, which I've cleaned out, to put all our soil samples in and mix them together. We're also gonna need a Ziploc bag, and you'll see what that is for later. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna dig down about to 3 to 4 inches deep. That's gonna get us a good soil sample that is just about the base of the root zone of the grass plant. So I'm gonna dig down, and I don't need a lot here. I only need very, very little. Basically pull out a block, and then we're just gonna kind of take from the bottom of that zone. The soil is still kind of wet, so what we're gonna do is just kind of break off a little bit, put it in our pan, and let it dry. So there's a big clump right there. You can see our roots are still kind of making their way down, but it is still very soft. So what I'm gonna do is break off a little bit of dirt from about 3 inches down, and I'm just gonna replace it right back. That's one spot. Now I'm a little bit further down the yard, and we're gonna do zone 2 here. And I will be rolling this lawn to level out any divots I create now. Zone 3, I'm actually closest to the sidewalk now for our last spot. So now we have all of our soil samples here put together, and this is actually a little bit more than I wanted. What I'm gonna let this do is, this is still wet soil, and I gotta let it dry out, and we're gonna let it get to that point by letting it sit here for about 24 hours, and I'll come back to it tomorrow. Okay, here we are. We have our soil sample dried out now for over 24 hours. I have a lot of roots in here. I have a lot of sticks, little things I gotta get rid of, blades of grass. So what I'm gonna do is dig through this real quick for about a minute and just throw any little sticks and things like that and roots just kind of off to the side. I wanna give them a clean sample. That's my goal. Got Earthworm Jim sitting in there. Anybody remember that game? I think that game was on Sega. Sega Genesis, maybe? Maybe Super Nintendo. Okay, so and at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to mash up the big clumps. I gotta take these guys and break them down. I wanna get a fine dose or a fine particulate batch here. Also wanna get rid of any rocks that you may find. So now I'm gonna put all this into a bag. I'm gonna try to get most of it in there. And this is a real easy way to kind of crumple up any big chunks to break things up. I should have probably gotten some kind of sifter over the years, something to kind of break out all of this. That would have helped, but This'll do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so take a look. So as you can see, I got a pretty fine setup here. I got a lot of fine material, a lot of small particulates of the dirt. This is gonna be excellent for our soil sample. So now it's time to get a scoop out of it. What I'm gonna do is take my scoop here, reach into the bag, get a good level scoop. Like that. And see, I do have still some weeds like sticking out of it, so I'm gonna pull those out. That'll do, it's nice and level. Boom, that's as much as we're gonna give them. So now we have our soil, and if we read these directions, careful handling. Do not remove the contents that are inside this jar. Leave the water and the capsule in the vial. Just add your soil. So that's all we're gonna do. You can see that it is safety sealed right here. It has 2 duplicate barcodes. I'm actually going to rip off the 1 barcode. I will need that. And I will mark these in a moment as the lawn, to the location as the front yard. I'm also going to put the sample date. So what I'm going to do first is crack this thing open very carefully. Do not spill this, people. Just let it be. I'm going to set this down. I'm going to slowly add in my soil. I'm going to close it up exactly the same way it came to me. It's on tight. We don't want it opening up. Shake it all up. Look at that. Yeah, all mixed up. Perfect. Okay, so now let's mark this bad boy. So we're going to mark it as the lawn. There's our barcode. I'm going to take that barcode that I ripped off the jar. I'm going to place it here. So make sure you fill out your laboratory submission card. This is the card that's going to go into your envelope along with your sample. So now, laboratory submission card goes into the envelope. We're gonna take our sample, carefully slide it in so you don't smear the ink that you wrote on the container with. It is sealed up good. It's not gonna open up on us. Remove our package, seal, and press it down good. It's going to Walla Walla, Washington, and it's going out first thing in the morning. Hey everybody, so here we are 1 week later after I shipped out our soil sample, and the results are in. Let's take a look. So ladies and gentlemen, looking at this picture here of our soil sample results, this is actually very good to see, because in the green bar here, we have our target area. That's where we want to get our nutrient levels to, somewhere in that green zone. That's the party zone. That's where we want to be. But if we look at some of our nutrients, they're a little low, some are a little high. So we're going to have to do some certain things to the soil in order to help benefit our entire lawn. The first things I'm going to look at are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. I'm also a little concerned about the iron levels as well as the pH. Those are my main ones there. Those are the 5 things that I'm really looking at here. The other nutrients, they kind of go with all the other supplements that I put down, so I'm not really too worried about those. If I look at calcium here, my area is very calcium rich in the soil, so there's not much I can do entirely about that. But the main ones that I can control to some degree are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. I can get some control on the iron with control of the pH. And if I go up here, this is very cool. It gives some recommendations for synthetic fertilizers to use, a 2100 or a 0060. Wow, I don't even think they make fertilizers with that much potassium in them. That's crazy. But if I look at the organic one, that's the one I usually like to look at first. It says 1006. There are fertilizer supplements that are 10 nitrogen, 0 phosphorus, and between 2 and maybe 6 potassium. So that's kind of cool. So I can find something that's in that area as well. Now, if I go to the nitrogen here, I'm a little low. Now, most fertilizers have a lot of nitrogen in them, so I'm not too worried about this. And the soil is going to be using up nitrogen pretty readily. I'm going to fill this one up pretty quick, and we're going to get this one back up into the green, no problem. The phosphorus here, I usually have a lot of phosphorus, and I do put down a lot of phosphorus fertilizers in the fall to help boost some root growth. So usually I expect this one to be high, and it's right in the middle, so we're okay. Now, if I get a supplement or a fertilizer with a little bit of phosphorus in there, that's okay. I'm still gonna be in the green. Potassium, I am always low in potassium. Every single time I do this, I'm always low. So to find any fertilizer with a little bit of potassium will be a good thing for us. If I go over here to the iron, iron's an interesting one because iron and pH over here kind of work hand in hand. If I can bring this pH down a little bit into the party zone, into this green area over here, what'll happen is more iron will become available, or readily available, I should say, to the root zone. If I can bring down the pH a little bit, I should see iron come up a little bit. And the proof there will usually be in the lawn turning a little bit greener for me. That's what I've seen in the past. Now the question is, how do I lower the pH? Well, I'm going to throw down some sulfur supplements, and that should hopefully bring this down a little bit. I may have to do it a couple of times though in order to really have it take an effect. If I get it down enough, we should start to see the lawn get a little bit darker, meaning more iron is being readily available now to the root zone, and it's turning the grass a little bit darker of a color green. Now the question becomes, which type of fertilizer do I put down? Do I put down some kind of synthetic fertilizer or some kind of organic? Well, mostly what I put down on the lawn is organic. Now, I'm not afraid to throw down a synthetic fertilizer from time to time because sometimes the nutrients can benefit my lawn in other ways. But I'm looking to start with a newer fertilizer that has come out. It's called PGF Complete by the Andersons. And that fertilizer has 16 nitrogen, 4 phosphorus, and 8 potassium. So that's a pretty well-rounded fertilizer considering I need nitrogen, I don't need a lot of phosphorus, and I do need quite a bit of potassium. So that could be a pretty well-rounded fertilizer for me. It also gives an iron shot, which will be beneficial too. I think I might test drive that one first this season. Yep. Probably going to start with that. Well, what about Milorganite? Milorganite has 6 nitrogen, 4 phosphorus, and no potassium whatsoever. So that's not really going to help me much. It does have a shot of iron though, so it does have 3 out of the 4 nutrients that I would require. Ringer Lawn Restore is another good one I could go with. That one actually matches the organic numbers perfectly. It's a 1006. They have changed those numbers a couple of times over the years, and that fertilizer is now very expensive. That price has gone up considerably in the last 2 or 3 years, which I'm not a fan of, but it is a good fertilizer nonetheless. It has also no iron. The next fertilizer I could possibly go with is Purely Organics Lawn Food. I have used that one a couple of times. That one does have 10 nitrogen, so it'll boost my nitrogen. It has no phosphorus, and it has a little bit of potassium. Not much, but it will add something. I don't believe it has any iron though. Another one I'm willing to try is Scott's Green Max. Now that's a green darkening fertilizer. That one has 27 nitrogen, 0 phosphorus, and just a little bit of potassium. That one has a big shot of iron in there too, so that could be a potential fertilizer for me too here. I'm also going to probably throw down an iron supplement called Ironite. You have to be careful with that one though. Do not get it on your driveway or else it will leave orange stains on your driveway or on your sidewalk or back patio, so you got to be careful with that one. Seriously though, clean it up good with your leaf blower. So by saving these results, this actually becomes a very helpful tool. This way I know what kind of fertilizer to put down and how much as well. So if you want to fertilize the smart way, get your hands on one of these. Save your results for future reference. Well, that about wraps it up for stage 1. Stay tuned for stage 2 of our lawn fertilizing plan, where I teach you how to throw down your first dose of fertilizer and when to throw it down. Thanks again for tuning into Garage Gear. Please smash that subscribe button and like this video down below. I got plenty of other lawn content coming your way, so stay tuned and I'll see you in the garage.